Before we get started talking about Python, we need to talk about what computer science is. Many people think that coding and computer science are the same thing, and they're not. Coding is a tool that we use to do computer science. It's how we write software, but computer science as a field encompasses so much more. Computer science is the study of how we solve real human problems using computer technology. It encompasses things like data, the internet, algorithms, logical thinking, ethics, global impact. All of these different areas come together to create the field of computer science. When we talk about computer science, it's basically using technology to solve human problems. One of the main tools we use for doing this in computer science is coding. There are all kinds of different coding languages, and each one is used for a specific type of situations. So in this class, we're going to be using Python. We've chosen Python because the commands are fairly easy to understand, but you can actually do some really sophisticated things with it. It's actually a programming language professionals use. You may have heard of some other programming languages like C++, Java, Visual Basic, JavaScript, things like that. All of those are just different sets of commands that we use to code and create software. So when we talk about the field of computer science, it's more than just dealing with code. It incorporates all sorts of different things, like creativity, innovation, working with the internet, data, algorithms, programming. All of these different areas wrap into how we use computer science to solve real-world problems. Technology surrounds us, and the magic that we use to actually get technology to do what we want is through computer science. So when we talk about languages, you'll hear the word programming language quite a lot this course. There's a difference between a natural and a formal language. A natural language is what you use to communicate day to day. I'm talking right now in a natural language. A formal language, on the other hand, is based on a set of very specific rules used for communicating. When we code, we're using a formal language. So let's talk a little bit about how formal and natural languages are different. When we talk about a formal language, the commands are very clear. When you're programming on a computer, there can't be any misunderstanding about what you want the computer to do. So the commands are very, very specific, and they have a very exact meaning. As we learn to code at the very beginning, that can actually cause some frustration, because sometimes we have exactly in our head what we want it to do, but learning how to type it in a way that the computer understands can sometimes be a little tricky. Once you've practiced this and learned some of the basic, it gets easier. So learning to code is one of those things where you just have to do lots and lots of it, make lots of mistakes, try it out, and eventually it sort of clicks. It becomes a lot clearer. On the other hand, natural language has a lot of ambiguity. It's not always clear what we're saying. I might tell you a story, and 3 or 4 of you might have very different interpretations of what I meant by telling you that story. Things can be misinterpreted. We can use words. Sometimes you just have to infer what I'm talking about. That's a natural language. We're very used to filling in the gaps when people are talking. And I think it's one of the things that's hardest when you switch over to coding, because sometimes when you type something in, it can be so clear in your head what you mean for the computer to do, but it's not typed in an exact way that the computer will understand. Formal languages are consistent. They work the exact same way every time. It's the only way we can get predictable results out of computers. And when you think about it, we use computers to perform tasks that humans are really bad at. So for example, I am a terrible speller. I rely on spell check in computers all the time to fix that for me. And it's consistent. Spell checking works the exact same way every single time. You'll notice that in the videos quite a lot. My spelling is terrible. On the other hand, a natural language, our meanings can kind of change. It's possible to have one word have many different meanings, and we're very good as humans at kind of filling in the gaps and using the context to figure out what it is a person means. Computers don't work that way. If it's not typed in exactly the way the computer understands it, it's not going to be able to follow the command. Now, as you get going, you need to be aware of that. Just because at first you're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes lots of mistakes when coding, but making the mistakes and fixing them is actually how you learn to code. This is not like typing something into a paper where you type it in once and maybe it's correct, or filling out answers on a worksheet. This is a process of typing, making changes, playing with the code, trying out, and really experimenting to see what it does. That's all part of how we actually learn to write code and solve problems using computer science. So our vocabulary for this lesson is computer science, and computer science is simply using technology to solve human problems. There are a vast number of things that we can do with computers. It's really pretty amazing when you consider how simple it is on the inside, everything a computer can do. But we've learned through commands and formal languages to write code that basically gives the computer a clear set of directions that are specific and consistent, and they work the exact same way every single time.